Duke, you suck.
You shut your mouth!
Welcome to the Duke You Suck podcast. And now, Duke Durango.
Perfect.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Duke You Suck podcast. I'm sitting here with a guy that I would call a friend, but in all honesty, don't know real well. Welcome to the show, Mo Jabari, man. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, absolutely. It's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. We are, man. We are friends. We are buddies, man. It's just the world of wrestling. That's how it works, man. Guys just see each other here and there. And
like I've known you for years, but I've probably talked to you for about an hour, you know.
Total, for sure. Yeah, totally.
That's not true. Do you remember one of the first time, actually, this is, and I don't want to get into a whole thing about this unless you do, but the first time I ever kind of felt what racism would feel like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I ever met you. Do you remember that? We went into that, where were we? McDonald's in Innisfail. Yeah, and it was like walking into a hillbilly club in the southern states. Like in the back of my head, I heard a record scratch. You know what I mean? Everybody turned and looked.
Dude, no shit. I remember like it's yesterday. No shit. We went into that thing and everybody just looked at the door. And it's just us three. It was me, you, and Junior.
Yeah,
and it was just like everyone just looked and we looked at each other like, what the hell is going on?
Well, that's what I looked at you guys like. Is it like this for you guys everywhere you go? You get this shit all the time.
Man, it's funny. It is. So, some places it is, man. Especially like being a wrestler here in Western Canada, we get to go to these little small towns and whatnot, and it's like it is. It's very like common. And we go to these places and people just kind of stare at you, and it's like, meh. And in some ways, you like to think you're a celebrity, but it's not. That's not the case.
Well, you know what, man? I think it's good if you could put that positive spin on it, right? Like, you know,
exactly.
When I was touring around, you'd walk into the new town and, you know, you'd walk in and there'd be these two, you know, I used to travel a lot with, I don't know if you know Chris Lazansky and a guy called Cyborg. Well, the small one of them, Chris, was like 6'3", 280. And the bigger one, Cyborg, was like, I'm not making this shit up, 6'9" and a legit 320. So I would travel with these two guys, man. And I was sort of God, I think people like, these people would never believe I'm a wrestler too. They just think I'm their man.
Yeah, with these guys,
Not that that's the same as people looking at you because you're a different color. I do not want to equate that.
Absolutely, man. It's funny. It makes me giggle because I'm a hard guy to kind of get upset, and like it's very, 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 very difficult to get me like upset or mad or you know what I mean.
So I don't think I've ever seen you stirred up.
Yeah, man. So I always kind of find like the positive things of everything, you know. I'd always make myself laugh in situations like that. Like if I just make I think it always almost upsets people that I do like laugh at them for being silly and sometimes.
Oh, it does, man. Like if you want to take away someone's power, be nice to them when they're mad.
Exactly. Yeah, like, and it makes everything easy, man. If I can walk away kind of giggling like you're an idiot, but now I'll just leave you alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and you know what, man? I know that because I can be a hothead. So there's times I start bitching at somebody and they're really nice. And I'm like, fuck. All right. Yeah. Sorry, man.
Shit. What can you do after that? Pretty much.
Yeah. When a guy, and that's what I always, sometimes I do something wrong and I apologize to somebody. And you ever apologize to somebody and they still keep bitching at you?
Yeah. Oh, those are the worst. And it upsets you even more.
Yeah.
It upsets you even more. Like, why did I even apologize to you?
Yeah. I was man enough to apologize. Just be man enough to accept it. You know?
For sure, man. Those are the worst. Those are actually the ones that like, if any time you'll ever see me match, probably a situation like that where I'm like, oh shit, bump into someone like, oh my bad, man, I'm sorry. And it's like, fuck off. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like that, huh?
That's how we are. Okay. It's like, but it's the world. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Everybody got a line, right? Everybody's got a line.
Exactly.
Everybody's got a line. So now I've never asked you this. I know you're Kenyan, but were you born here?
No, I was born in Kenya, man.
Okay. Let's hear this. Okay. I'm going to bug you for this story because I found out what my white privilege is, and now I want to hear about all your guys' shit.
Oh, and I have a pretty crazy, and I like to think it was a fun time, but it's a pretty crazy life story. But I was born in Kenya, in a refugee camp in Kenya called Kakuma Refugee Camp. Okay. Right. With at the time single mom. Like my mom, I think my dad and my mom separated when she was pregnant with me.
Okay.
So my mom at an early age. So probably in her early 20s, was carrying me around in this, in Kenya, which is like, God, God bless that lady. I have the most, like, I can't say enough about that lady. I love her to death, but I grew up in this refugee camp that initially was created for, I don't know if you're familiar with the Sudan boys, the Lost Boys of Sudan.
Yes.
I don't know so like this at the time, Sudan had a civil war that was really, really bad, kids, females, children, rape, kill, everything. So all these kids that got their parents killed just couldn't stop running, and they just ran towards the Kenyan border. And thankfully, Kenya actually accepted them and brought them in, and the UN was like, hey, we can't bring you into Kenya, especially in this big country. We can make a refugee camp for you in between Sudan and Kenya in this like desert. And legit, like desert. It is legit. Funny enough, the name Kakuma in Kenyan means middle of nowhere.
Really?
So yeah, man. So like the UN was like, hey, we're gonna settle you guys. At the time, they said only 5,000 people they can help, right? 5,000 children, women, and just female. That's the best they can do.
Right.
They create this refugee camp, and at the time, not only Sudan was going through this, but Somalia was going through civil war too.
Okay.
So, and not only Somalia, but pretty much any country around Kenya had civil wars that were fleas. So they hear about this place,
and that's a large border to protect, man.
Yeah. So they hear about this place called Kakuma that's the UN is helping people. So all these people are like, okay, well, we're getting killed in our own country. We're just gonna run, right?
It's their only chance.
Help. Yeah. So my mom was the oldest daughter in her family, and she was at the time. My grandfather said, "Listen, if they're gonna come into our homes and rape our daughters, you are the first to be raped. If these guys even have any human compassion, they won't go after the little ones, right? But you are fair game."
Yeah.
So my mom, they gave my mom what they had and said, listen, go to Kenya, take care of yourself, and hopefully we can, see each other one day again. So my mom took whatever money she had that her parents gave her, took a van to the border of Kenya. But the craziest thing about this is this van obviously was just some shit van, broke down before I even got anywhere, right? So and then my mom tells the story all the time where she says, the guy who was driving the van was a very, very respected guy, very honest guy. He said, listen, you guys paid me to take you to the border. My van broke down, but I'll still take you guys there. Whoever can keep up with me, keep up with me. We're walking. It's like, hey, yeah, you paid me to get you to the border. I'll get you there. Just keep up if you can keep up. And my mom at the time, early, I think maybe 19, 20, my mom said she was a heavy girl. She was a bit heavier, and she said, never really ran, did anything, walked this long. So she's trying to keep up with this guy. Meanwhile, lions and all sorts of things are roaring in the middle of the night. And it's like, if you stop, you're done. You're a meal to some lion or to some hyena or something, right? So my mom has these crazy scars on her legs where she was running and walking for so long that her legs were rubbing against each other, right? Blood. For days, blood just going down. So my mom has this crazy story of coming to Kenya, meets my dad, gets pregnant with me, and then my dad and her end up separating. So my mom's now pregnant with me in the streets of Kenya, right? My mom is a soldier, man. But
God bless that woman.
Yeah, man. The love I have for her, I can't even put in words. So we go to this refugee camp, and pretty much from the time I was born to about 11 years old, to 11, 12, we were in this camp. And I pretty much, I always tell people this story where I'm like, listen, man, I was like a man at the age of 7. Like I truly, I knew everything. I knew everything. It was a kill or be killed world,
Yes.
Even though it was a refugee camp where people came there to be safe, that wasn't the case,
Yeah.
We're
playing with dolls. You guys are surviving.
Exactly. So it's like, you have to grow up fast. And it's like, it's a single mom who's a female. And it's especially in Africa,
I could never ever, and people that say they understand when they say when you tell them the story and they say I understand, you tell them that's bullshit. There's no way I could ever understand this.
For sure, man. But it's
I
like,
can't even get my head around what you're telling me, man.
dude, it's like, and the one, it's crazy thing because we're in, especially North America and more of the developed countries, females get a a fair chance with a lot of things. You know what I mean?
Right.
At the time, especially in this place in Kenya, in this refugee camp, it's a male dominated place. No one cares what a female has to say.
Yeah.
It's if she said the wrong thing, shut up
Slap.
type of place. You know what I mean? So it's like my mom's a single mom, no family, no supporting cast of any sort. And she's raising this rebel in me that's like, that's fighting, that's doing all sorts of shit, man. And it's like at the time, especially in our culture, in African culture, it's like, if I beat up somebody, the mother, the dad will come slap you, hey, and it's like now you go cry to your mom. Now your mom has to come back and try to, return the favor, but it's like she's by herself.
Yeah.
There's, and this family has a father, a mother, a brother, a sister. It's like, dude, I've seen
Yeah,
my
there's
mom
no support structure for you guys.
Yeah. There's countless times where I was, I would get in a fight and I'd beat a kid up or some sort of something. My mom, would get the receipt for this. My mom would end up getting, trying to support me, but get beat up and all sorts of shit, man. We've seen all sorts of stuff. I've seen female get raped. I've seen people on fire. I've seen all sorts of shit. I've seen people get
Hey,
killed.
man, did you just say people on fire?
On fire. I tell this, I tell this story, dude. I tell this story where, we used to have every morning, I think every Saturday, if I remember correctly, the UN would release, we had like little whales of water places, right?
Okay.
And it's like everyone, you get a card, pretty much. You get what you would say, permanent residence in this refugee camp. And this permanent residence thing will get you every month will get you some sort of food from the UN. So they'll give you some flour or some, something just to keep you for the next month, right?
Right.
But in that thingy was like, I think every family would get like 2 big jugs of water, right? But that's if you get there early enough, right? That's if you get there early enough.
There's so many people now.
Exactly, so many people, but also it's like everybody gets 2 portions or 2 jugs of water. But it's like there's a family, kids are being born left and right, man. It's like families are like 10 deep. No fucking 2 jugs ain't gonna help. So families are getting 7, 8. And if you're not there early enough, you're not getting water. So in the mornings, me and my mom would walk to get there early to wait in line for this water to, come on. And I shit you not, one day we were sitting there and this lady, butt naked, is running, we can hear the scream, first of all, coming from a distance. We don't know what the fuck's going on. This lady essentially just runs by us and head to toe was on fire. Head to this lady, and no one's gonna help her because how can we? She's on fire. You know what I mean? It's head to toe, she's on fire. And we come to find out later, this lady actually was a good friend of my mom, previous to this. We come to find out that her husband thought she was cheating on him. And while she was sleeping, put some gasoline on her and lit fire, right? So this poor lady, and she ended up dying from this. And karma, when they say karma is a bitch, is a real thing, because I think years later, that same husband, an incident happened to him where he was lit on fire.
Seriously.
So like, I shit you not, man. It's shit you not. And it's
that's karma right there, man.
Dude, this guy, everywhere I seen him, it was just like that image of this lady I would always see until essentially that incident happened to him where he was on fire. And I remember the whole side of his body was burnt. So anytime I seen him, it was just like, holy shit, this guy he got what he deserved. But you know what I mean? It was that type of place where we lived.
Hey, the receipt always comes back, doesn't it? There's always a receipt.
Karma's a real thing, man. It's a real thing. But yeah, man, you see shit like that. I've seen brain matters, seen people shot, all sorts of stuff before I was even 10, man. You know what I mean? So when I say like at 7 years old, I was a man, I truly was, especially when you compare it to a kid who grew up here, like some kid who went to kindergarten, watching cartoons every Saturday.
I have no relatable experience.
You know what I mean? Like every Saturday, you're eating cookies, eating cereal, watching cartoons. Yeah. I didn't have that. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, here's the thing, man. We were poor. Like we were on welfare when I was a kid. Yeah, we were a food bank family. But man, we lived in a house. No one was on fire. You know what? Like
you had cable. You were good. You just wasn't rich.
I don't know if we had cable, man, but yeah, comparatively, we were living large.
For sure. Like, hey, like I know people here that that are not well off, or I mean not well off, but don't have much other than check to checks, and are poor in and if you had to say it, but it was like they live well. They know they eat, they sleep, they got a roof, they got a fridge, they got clothes. You know what's in there? They're okay. But it's like we come from this place where it was just kill or be killed. And for my mom, for her to be a single mom, and for her not only to survive but to come, her dream was, her parents for the longest time were like, listen, the war has kind of calmed down in
Okay.
Somalia. Like, you have a kid, come back to your family, we'll help you take care of your kid. Things are a lot better than when you left. But my mom was like, absolutely not. Why would I bring my son to, back to Somalia so one day he can become like a child soldier or something?
Right.
When
So he
potentially I
become a
can,
lost boy too. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So but potentially I can wait in this refugee camp and do my time, and essentially one day I can go to immigrate to Canada or United States, and this kid can potentially do something one day in life. You know
So
what I
now
mean?
is that kind of how it works? Like you sort of wait your turn and eventually they'll get you out of there?
Yeah. That's what pretty much when they resettle you in those refugee camps, it's pretty much like, hey, you can't go back to your home country. It's like, hey, wait your process, and one day, whenever these countries allow people to come in, the longer you've been there, first, they'll take you.
Right.
So my
And
mom
how
put
long
in.
were you there?
I was there about 11. My mom was there about 13, right? You know what I mean?
Holy
So
shit.
yeah, so my mom I was young and I was too young to know at the time, but my mom said she got resettlement a few times. She got, like, I think one was in Australia, one was Sweden, but at the time both of them didn't go through. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
okay. For
So
whatever reason.
if that went through, I could have possibly been in North America, or like even in Europe at like maybe 5. You know what I mean? But what's it called?
Wow.
Yeah. So my mom had to wait, and she did. And like, her dream was to come to North America, and potentially one day her son, can have a regular life and do something, as opposed to like stay in Africa and be nothing.
Your mom's amazing, bro.
Oh, she's a
Holy
soldier, man. My mom is a
cow.
soldier.
Yeah,
It's
man.
funny.
I couldn't lace
Mom,
that woman's boots up. I'll
dude,
tell you that right now.
it's funny. My mom works at she's a housekeeper at Peter Lahi Hospital.
Okay.
And there was a time, I think, just a few months back, like 5-6 months ago, there was a time where like her manager and her were having problems, where her manager wasn't like a fair person. She was having a lot of problems with a lot of the immigrants that were working there.
Right.
She was a super uptight lady. But my mom was taking her shit, and at times I would sit and be like, dude, did this lady know who the hell she's fucking with?
Yeah.
Like, she's
You have
just
no
some manager.
idea.
Yeah, like, you're some manager, you probably think my mom's just some housekeeper. This lady is a soldier. She's seen stuff,
Yeah.
man. You couldn't lace her boots if your life depended on it.
Yeah.
So it's
Show
like,
that
I'm
lady
like,
respect, man.
yeah, man. Usually it was very upsetting. I'm like, you don't know who the hell this lady is, man. Like, you're lucky you have a soldier on your team working with you. You know what I mean? But that's where I come from, and I'm thankful to be here. I'm thankful to be a Canadian citizen. You know what I mean? It's good. It's good. Life is good out here, man.
Man, you're seriously, that's an amazing story. So where did you come straight to Calgary? Where did you and then
We got settled in Kitchener, Ontario first.
oh, okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we were
No,
we
I'm
were
just
there
kidding.
about a year and a half. Yeah. Oh man, dude. It was actually I thought it was better off because such a small place was good to kind of catch the culture. You
Yeah,
know,
that makes sense, man.
what I supposed to
Yeah,
they dropped
100%.
us in Toronto or Calgary. It was like shit. You pretty
Oh,
much drop you with
Toronto,
the
geez, what would
sharks.
you do there when you come from a little village,
You
not
know
a
what I
little
mean?
village,
So it
but
was
a
like
village.
they drop us in this, little ass Kitchener, and we
Yeah.
picked up things a lot faster because everything was super
Move so
small and it was a
slower.
small community.
Yeah,
So it was like it was a good learning, place. So it was like
that's
then we
fantastic,
came to
man.
Calgary about a year and a half in.
Oh, okay.
We've
So
been
how
here
long have you
since
been in
then.
Calgary now?
And we've been here since 2000, late 2008. So we're
Oh,
just
okay.
about 2009 now. I don't know how many years that is. I'm not the best math guy, but we've been here
Yeah.
for a while.
Let's call it 12, 13 years,
There
somewhere
you
in
go.
there.
We've been here quite a while.
You've
Quite
been
a
in,
while.
you've been here a minute.
There you go. A good minute.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
That's good, man. Okay, so you moved to Canada, and of course, I'm going to ask you moved to Canada. When did you first see wrestling? How did you want to get into wrestling? How
Dude,
did that? Well, let me ask you first of all, what kind of kid were you in school? Were you like, because you said you were always fighting and stuff when
oh,
you were in Kenya.
I
Were you
was,
fighting
I
and
was,
stuff in school?
I was a fighter, man. I actually have a funny story. This was funny. Like my first like maybe month in school was like the most difficult. I don't speak English. I don't speak shit.
Oh,
I'm like, I come from a place where every kid I see is black. You know what I mean? Now you bring me to a country where like maybe
You're the only black kid.
yeah, maybe two other black kids are in the school. One might be a light-skinned kid. You know what I mean? It's not fully black. So it's like I'm like looking around like, damn, what the heck, where am I? And type of thing. And it's like I'm here, and like now I know, but at the time didn't. But a lot of these kids also are immigrants, but are like from Afghanistan or Iraq, but they're white to me. You know what I mean?
For sure.
They're super, so like I don't, this guy's Afghanistan, this guy's Canadian. I don't know the difference. You know what I mean? But it's like I'm in the school, and I remember I was obviously in this refugee camp. We played a lot of soccer. That's the only thing we had. We played soccer. So when I came here, that was the first thing that I was like, oh, I know that. I could play that. You know what I mean? I don't need to speak English to play that.
I'm in. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I remember we were playing soccer this one time, and this kid obviously didn't know how to play, but he like picked the ball with his hand and ran and kind of like, and it upset me because we take soccer super serious where I come from. It's like, people beat each other over, but it's like, I get super mad because I'm like, this kid just picked up the ball, but I'm like, I don't speak English. I can't express myself. I can't say nothing. So like, I just go and stop the ball away from him and go. And this kid says to me, I shit you not, he says, stop it. Okay. To me, I thought I don't speak English. To me, I watch TV for the last couple of weeks I've been in Canada. To me, I thought he says stupid, right? He says stop it. I hear stupid. I clock this kid. Bang! I drop him right there. And it's like now I'm in the principal office. I'm not even in the country for a month. I get suspended. All this process happens, and I'm like, me and this kid later on actually becoming friends. But it was like, I'm like, dude, I thought he said stop it. I thought he said stupid. I don't speak English. I got upset.
That's a fight on site, bro. You call me stupid.
One, you grabbed the ball with your hands. I was upset already. And then I thought you said stupid. There goes one. Bang, go to sleep.
Yeah, strike two, like, man.
Yeah, so it's like I was having a lot of those problems early on. You know what I mean? Or like learning how to ride a bike. And dude, I'm learning how to ride a bike. My elbows, my knees are all gone from falling all the time. It was a
wrestling was nothing for you by the time you got in.
Wrestling is nothing, man. I'm not here riding a bike trying to learn how to ride. My shoulder, my everything just cut up. It was a great time. Shit. It was a great time. But I remember we got like I actually remember because Ontario was at that time was very big for Rogers. They had we have Shaw here. Yeah, they were very big for Rogers. I remember the guy actually.
So there was a time when it was basically Western Canada was Shaw, Eastern Canada was Rogers. That
makes sense. Okay, so like I remember the guy literally being parked outside the building, setting our cable up, and I remember the first like just scrolling legit. I'm like, dude, TV, just sitting down on the couch, going 100 channels. I didn't even watch one channel. I just keep going. And I remember like flipping into this channel, and it was like, I think at the time was a DX segment was going on. And it was like, I'm like, I'm thinking this is boxing or something. This is fighting. And like I'm saying, I like to fight. I love to fight. So it was like, to me, it was like, this looks something I like. So I watched. And right away, I was addicted, man. I was like, this is good. Like Shawn Michael giving everyone super kicks and stuff. I'm like, this is cool. But I never really knew what time to tune in or like nothing. I never knew nothing. So I would watch that the first night, and then 3 nights later, see it replay, watch it again. It was like, until I finally picked up on it. And it was like, okay, this is good. So that's when around 2007 was when I picked up on it.
Okay, I got you.
And since then, really never stopped watching and loved it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So now, how was your mom? How did she react? First of all, how did she react in the principal's office? First time when you pumped that?
My mom knew who I was. My mom dealt with this. It wasn't new to her. My mom was surprised that I did it to a white kid. She's like, dude, we're gonna get deported. What are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? My mom. First of all, my mom was like my mom. She she had a good home training in terms of when it came to me. She always disciplined, taught me well,
right?
Everything. Whenever I got in a fight, it was almost embarrassing to her that's her kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was like, so my mom always, she was a great parent, but when it came to, she knew who I was, where I came from. It was in my system. So it was like, every time I did something like that, it was just taking me home.
You've been scrapping your entire life, man.
Yeah. It was just like a matter of when she took me home, it was like, dude, this is not back home. Relax. They don't believe in the fighting here. They don't know none of that shit. Right. Calm down. And it's like a lot of that actually for years to come was a lot of, hey, calm down, man. This is not back home. And it was like, all right, I apologized and went on to go to school for the remainder of the year and not get into trouble.
Yeah, but you know what, man? I mean, that's when you come from that environment, it's going to take a long time to change your, right? Like you got to, just as you change the surroundings doesn't mean you're going to change a person's, behavior patterns.
Absolutely, dude. I think maybe up until because I just turned 26 in August, right?
Right.
Dude, I think maybe up until like 2, 3 years ago, I was just a hard headed kid. I was
Right.
just you couldn't if you looked me the wrong way, it was we weren't talking, we were fighting. I
Right.
was just that was still my system. I think
And you know
like
what, man? I've known you. I've never got that from you. And maybe
yeah,
because
yeah,
I've
it's
never
just
looked at you the wrong way, but I've never ever got that from you,
no
man.
me, but mostly because like I say, like I have a great like home training. So it's like to me when I'm in an environment when everyone's cool, you're gonna
Right.
get the absolute best out of me. You know what I mean? I'm never gonna be
Because
loud
you're
or
always
whatever.
like, honestly, I've never seen you, but nothing but smiling and laughing.
Yeah. So like in that setting, I'm always cool. In any setting that's cool, I'm always cool. You're
Yeah.
not gonna hear like Mo is making trouble or anything. But
Yeah.
like but I was also hard headed. Like if you came at me the wrong way or anything, we weren't gonna talk. You was just fighting. So I had that mentality up until like I think 3 years ago, where I was like, dude, man, you're getting older. Calm down. You know what I mean? And I also had a lot to do with like watching my siblings. My brother and coming up, going to junior high and stuff. It's like I'm telling this guy, hey man, calm down. You're
Now you
just
got to
too
set
fast.
the
And I'm like,
example for them, right?
yeah, but I'm like, oh shit, I'm telling this little guy to calm down, but I'm not. So it's like, how's that gonna work? You know what I mean? So I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, I gotta follow my own advice, maybe.
See, and that's what I know. I know a story of a guy. I know a guy. He was my guide when I went to Israel,
Yeah,
and his brother. He was telling me a story about his brother who was a real yard ape when he, got kicked out of 3 different high schools, like just an
yeah,
agitator,
for
and
sure.
he joined the military. And the first year, well, he didn't join the military. They have mandatory recruitment
Yeah,
there.
you have to. Yeah,
So he's in doing his first year, and he's in trouble all the time. His first year in the military, he got stuck in the brag a couple times, and then somehow he gets promoted and
yeah.
has one person under his command,
Jesus.
and it drills into him that he's
Yeah,
responsible for that guy's life. And my guy said it changed him 100%.
for sure, for sure.
You know what I
Because now
mean? So
you be,
everybody just grows it in a different way, man.
yeah, no, for sure. Once you have to like give advice and do things, you be like, all right, man, I gotta follow my own stuff instead of
Yeah.
being an idiot. Coming home, my mom's yelling at me, and this guy that I was yelling at yesterday, telling him he's not behaving, he's not watching me. Like, dude, you're a hypocrite. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? What's going on? So it's like, I was like, all right, I gotta be cool for this guy, for him to understand what I'm saying or whatever. But I've been good the last couple of years, and gotten a little bit mature and whatnot. But before, man, I was super, super hard headed, and thank
Well,
thank
and
God I didn't
maybe
get
some
into
of it
trouble.
too is probably you were more insecure. Now you're a little more
Yeah,
comfortable with who you are.
for
You know,
sure, for sure, probably, man, for
right?
sure. Also, just a lot had to do with just maturing. I think is just like thank God I never got into trouble while I was hard headed. I never really had any
Right.
run-ins with police or anything. So it's like that was kind of like, hey, if I keep doing this, maybe my luck might run out. So it's
Right.
like calm down and behave, and it's like that helped a lot. But wrestling, and I'm like a big video game guy. So
Okay.
it's like those things help too. When you're like instead of like going out and doing things with your friends, it's like I'd rather just stay home.
Yeah, there's an upside to gaming, right? Like
Yeah, I
people
think
want to
it
go
helped a
hard on the
lot.
negative stuff, but there are some
Yeah, man.
positive things there.
Even if you're not like even if you're not a hard-headed person, if you're not a trouble causer, you can be at the wrong place at the wrong time too. Things can go wrong. So it's like to me,
Yeah.
I find it a lot easier for me to come home from whatever I'm doing all day to kind of just relax, play games, and just kind of leave the world out there alone.
Turn that off.
And maybe I'd get lucky and they'll leave me alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
All right.
yeah.
Now let's fast forward to you deciding to get into pro wrestling. How did your mom take that? Because that was going to be my second question earlier. How
Yeah,
did your mom?
first of all, I got into it. When I came to Calgary, I went to this junior high that lucky for me just had kids my age that were just fanatics, man, just as
Oh,
big as
okay.
I was. So it was like I made friends the first day of school, just
Right.
because like these kids are all like wearing wrestling shirts and whatnot. And it was easy for me to say, "Oh, you watch wrestling? Yeah, I watch wrestling too. Who's your favorite?" Next thing these kids and I are like wrestling in the hallway
Jeez.
all day long, all
Yeah.
day long, every day. It's like, and it kind of like, it's like, I love this, man. This is awesome. Every day, instead of like when I go home, I'm looking forward to going to school, Thursday or Tuesday morning, like talking about Raw and, who this. It was like, to me, school really didn't matter. Going to school and talking about wrestling with my friends
Yeah. It was
was
a
a
social
lot
thing, not
more.
an education thing.
Yeah. It was a lot, it was, I used to be super excited to go to school in the morning just to talk about wrestling and, just for school to end so I can go wrestle outside with these guys. So it was just like, it just mattered. It just went on to being like, damn, dude, I actually just want to be a wrestler one day because I love it so much.
Right.
And then it's
So
like,
then how old were you when you started training?
oh, dude, I was 21,
Okay.
but I was around for, you knew I was around maybe like since I was 15,
Well,
16.
that's the thing. I'd kind of always seen you. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
this, it was sort of
I've been around. Once I figured out that I can come help, set chairs up and kind of like make my way, and until I started wrestling, I was like, all right, then if that's what I got to do, I'll do it. I come set up
right.
chairs, set up
And
the
did you
ring,
train
and
with
then
Lance?
I train with Lance. Yeah. I
Okay.
train with Lance, dude.
And
I met, like, I remember, so I was one of those guys that never really knew nothing about like independent wrestling.
right.
I was just a WWE guy. I didn't know nothing about Japan, none of that. Just
I knew more about time machines than the wrestling business when I got into it, man.
yeah, there you go. So it's like, to me, I knew WWE and WWE alone. So it's like, I remember my mom. She would take the bus from work to come home, and she would take the newspapers and she would bring it to me at home and ask me to read it for her and say, hey, what are they talking about today? What's interesting? And obviously, my mom's been watching wrestling with me every day that I watch it, so she knew wrestlers. She knew all sorts of wrestlers.
That's also why your English is so good.
Dude,
I was trying to figure out why you almost have no accent coming here at such a late age.
I tell you, it's funny. But so my mom one day finds this gets a newspaper and brings it home, but obviously on the cover of it was Bret Hart. And actually, I think you booked this show. You booked the X Fest.
Oh yeah. That was a
So
fun
like,
weekend.
at this point, I'm like 17, right? 17, and like, what's that called? I'm like, dude, I can. What's that called? My mom was like, dude, this is Bret Hart on. They're having a show somewhere. So I read this show and I'm like, X Fest. That's like not too far because I live in Millen Heights, and this was at
Okay, yeah.
Fort Calgary, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm like, dude, this is not far. This one train stop. I hop on the train, I go there, and I remember mom gave me $25 because I've been to like a Raw before and bought the cheapest tickets for $25. So I'm thinking,
Right.
you can't be more expensive than Raw. So like, I asked my mom, give me $25. So I take the train, I go to Fort Calgary for this X Fest. Little did I know the X Fest is a whole big deal of music. Wrestling was just the background noise pretty much that day.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
go in this lineup and I go to the front, and it's like the lady's like, yeah, hey, come. Before she even asked for an ID, I think it was like plus 18 to get in there anyway. But before she even asked anything, she's like, yeah, $200 for a week. I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, 200 for what? She goes out to get in here. I'm like, ma'am, I was like, I'm not here for this stuff. Whatever the hell this is, I'm not here. See that ring in the middle over there? Yeah, I just came to watch wrestling. That's it. Well, she goes, sir, to go through me, it's a $200 fee or whatever the pass was. I'm like, oh shit, I don't have $200 and you're not gonna let me in. So I guess I'm just gonna turn. Yeah, I'm gonna turn around. So I go and I start walking around this place, and to see, I'm like, I'm gonna go in there whether she likes it or not. I don't care who likes this. I'm gonna get in there. I just got to figure out how to get in there.
Right.
So around this place and to see, because they had a security at like every base pretty much. So I'm like, I got to find the weakest link of these security guards. And that's the guy I'm going to jump his fence to go into this crowd of people. So I'm like I'm walking around, and then, eventually I see this, bigger gentleman and a bigger girl, they're there. And I'm like, unfortunately, they got to be the guys. I got to jump their fence today. So like,
There's no way they're catching you.
Yeah, they're, my bad. Sorry, guys, if you get in trouble. So I go and jump the fence, and I just run into the sea of people. I think they had like 5,000 people that day or whatever.
That was a busy place.
Yeah, so I go into this crowd at the time. I think there was music going on, so everyone was at the stage watching. They can't find me. I disappeared, man. I disappeared into this crowd of people. They can't find me. So whatever that was done, about like an hour or so, they're like, they make the announcement, hey, make your way to the wrestling. They're going to be wrestling. So I make my way with the crowd of people. Right. And no one really can see me. So I watch this wrestling and I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I meet to get introduced to PWA. I meet Chris Knight and Junior there. Right. Because once the wrestling dies down, everyone goes back to the music. These guys were just hanging out by the ring to watch the music.
Right.
And I wasn't leaving. I was just standing by the ring. I wasn't leaving. I'm like, whenever they back to the wrestling, I'm waiting here. No one's gonna. So I started talking with Chris Knight and Junior, and it's like, hey man, I want to be a wrestler one day. How do I do that? And they're like, oh well, before we get to that, here's about 1,000 flyers. Go hand it out, and we'll talk. And it's like,
You got carnied your first
Oh,
day.
yeah. They worked me. I was like, no problem, man. I take this flyers, I give it away, I come back. I'm like, all right, done. What's up? And I remember Nider was actually gave me his number. He's like, listen, man, come back tomorrow, help with the setup if you can. He's like, I'll help you get in. And then I think there was a PWA show, like I think a couple of weeks after that. And he's like,
Right.
come to that and I'll show you around, whatnot. So Nider pretty much kind of took me
Nice.
around and showed
That
me.
guy's a
and,
beauty, man.
yeah, Night is the man. That is the
Yeah.
man. So I come around PWA and like he's like, all right, man. Night was like, you start with the chairs. He's like, start with the chairs. So I started the chairs. A year in, a year and a half in. Now I'm helping with the ring a little more, and it's like 2-3 years in. It's like, all right, we need a ref. It's like, yeah, I can do that.
You paid some
like,
dues, bro.
yeah, so I can do that. So I ref for about I think a good while, man, maybe 2 years almost.
Right.
So I ref for a while, and it's like, and then finally it was like, whenever I got the money together, I'm like, all right, now I'm ready. I know, I understand some sort of. I also wanted to get an understanding for Lance,
Yeah.
I want to know how the training went. I wanted to be prepared. I was a pretty good athlete.
Smart motherfucker, man.
Yeah. I was a pretty good athlete in high school. I was a pretty good athlete. I played basketball, I played soccer. So like I was a pretty good athlete. So I was like,
right.
But I wanted to, I came from a place where coaching was, I was coachable. But I wanted to understand this guy and how his system works out. Tony, whoever came to from Lance, I asked him like, hey, what am I expecting when I get there? A lot of them had the same, a lot of them had the same advice and the same answers. So I was like, all right, so now I'm ready. I got enough knowledge about this school, about this guy. Here's my money. And I went there and it was like, everything that I heard was absolutely true. And I he trained me well for what I paid him, and it was good. It was a great training.
Yeah.
It was awesome, man. It was a good.
He runs a good school, man. Like he like anybody, his first trainees, like it took him a little minute to sort of perfect his formula, so to speak.
Yeah.
That 90 days, man, you got to squeeze shit in, right? Like but by the time he was on about his second or third class of guys, it was like, okay, man, he's turning out some studs now.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was a blast being there. It was a very and I like I said, I come from you're an amateur wrestler. You came from a place where there's authority in coaching and stuff like that. So like I came in there and he kind of like said, hey, this is how this works. I'm the man here. So I was like, all right, cool. What you say is what I follow, and I learned. Yeah, no problem. So I learned a lot faster than a lot of the kids there because I was like, that's the guy. I got it. What he says goes. If he says get in. If he gets to go out, what he does, and I was easily coachable, right? So it helped.
Well, the thing is, not only Lance is a smart guy, he's an articulate guy, and he's freaking done it all, right? So if you're going to listen to somebody, that's somebody you want to be listening to.
That's the guy,
really.
For sure, man. Yeah, I essentially graduated from his school and started doing PWA and whatnot around the Western Canada shows.
Right.
So since then, it's been grinding.
Man, well, the thing is, man, I think you've I don't know if risen quickly is the right thing because you've been grinding, bro. And I don't want to minimize that, right? Like it's definitely not overnight success, but you're somebody that your name's on every show.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like your name's out there. Everybody knows who you are now. And it's
for sure.
To hear your humble beginnings to where you are now, like you're just 26. Like I also didn't realize how young you are.
Yeah, man. No, it like, man, I'm like I said, coming from like other sports and stuff like that, I always tend to take things seriously. If I never wanted to be, especially like coming from like a sport where like big groups like soccer and basketball, it's like you don't want to be the guy who's like the worst on the team. You don't want to be the guy who like no one really cares about.
No one wants to get picked last, man.
Yeah, like I was so for me, I always had the mentality, man, I'm gonna get good this summer for basketball tryouts. Coming. So like I always stayed prepared for things like that. Like I would take it completely serious. And when basketball tryouts or whatever the soccer tryouts came, I was probably the most readiest, if not in that conversation of ready guys, right?
Right.
So when I obviously wrestling is a completely different game. It's not like you can go to YMCA.
It's a completely different thing, but preparedness. It doesn't matter what you're doing, right? Preparedness, and that's one of the things I didn't learn early. And I probably learned it too late in life, to be honest with you, when it comes to certain things, is preparedness. That goal setting and that preparedness doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're playing basketball, doing your homework, or pro wrestling. That mental preparedness, I think, is that's probably a large reason why you're where you are now. For sure, man. For sure, yeah, you gotta, especially, man. It's unfortunately, we're in the mecca of wrestling in Canada. At one time,
one time. You know, at one point in our history, Canada, Calgary was the place to be for wrestling. Unfortunately, it's not the same anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like,
well, the whole business isn't the same anymore. I mean, look at what Winnipeg used to be, right?
There you go. True. No, that's absolutely true. But it's like, we don't have, you know, like, for example, like you guys had, you know, access to BJ's gym. You know what I mean? There was access to places where you can go put your kick pads on, your knee pads on, your shoes, go roll around and figure some things out. You know what I mean? And potentially get better. We didn't have that for a while.
Well, once I started going to the dungeon, it wasn't like,
and the dungeon shit. Yeah, the dungeon too. God damn it.
Well, and it wasn't even, so you started wrestling, we started working shows. And then we got to a point, man, and people don't realize, like, we were working 3-4 nights a week, and we were still expected to be at the dungeon. Like, you'd work Friday night.
So sore.
Yeah, man. And you'd be expected to be at the dungeon Saturday, Sunday, because they knew, because we were in town.
Yeah, that's how you get better, though. That's how it goes. Rep, man. And though, if who knows, then the Hart family in that dungeon, you know what I mean? Who knows better? You know what I mean? So it's like, those guys know how to, you know, make stars and make, you know, legends and people like you, man. You guys were awesome crew of people that came out of there. You know what I mean? But it's like,
we were lucky with the group of guys we came up with in the training we got.
Dude,
you know, kind of like you, right? Like, you know, look at the locker room you're in right now.
Exactly,
like, it's unbelievable the amount of talent. You know, between RCW, PWA, there's some serious talent there, man.
We got some haymakers. We got some big guys here, man. But it's like I said, it was a period of time. Even guys here didn't have the chance where we could go to a place and train and you know make a group chat of guys, say, hey, tonight, Thursday night, let's go train. It's like there wasn't that. It's just like the training
that's always been my dream for one of these wrestling schools, to just have like a drop-in time where guys could just come bump. Dude, like, I appreciate there's wear and tear on the ring and shit like that. So you figure out what the boards are worth, you figure out, you know what I mean, and you charge accordingly, right? Exactly. Like, I would pay a guy $40 a month, throw a few weights in there, get yourself a ring, I'll come roll.
Absolutely. I already paid goddamn $50 to Good Life. I can pay the same. It's no big deal.
100%. I mean? I'd rather get my conditioned wrestling than running on treadmill.
Especially when you're passionate about something. It's, you know, money is the last, you know, thing you really think about. But yeah, it's like we didn't have that. So now, like, our only practice and our only rep was going to shows, right? Once a month or twice a month doing PWA shows. And it's like,
right,
quite frankly, you really don't get better doing that. You know what I mean?
It's hard, man.
You know what I mean? So it's like, thankfully, right before the pandemic, you know, the school right by my house popped up by this guy named Ali. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I was fortunate enough to say, damn, I live 5 minutes away. I don't know. I don't care what I got to pay. I'm going to go there. I'm going to do my best to, you know, get better.
Right.
Dude, and it so happened to be, I was getting better, you know, getting more rep and then going to PWA shows and trying to put more rep. And then the lockdown happened. And dude, that kind of like obviously broke my heart. Obviously, we were like, okay.
You were just hitting your stride.
Yeah. But then it's like, that's when I was like, oh shit, man. Why is my heart broken? I could just get up and still go train and even get better. So by the time we do come back, it's a whole different person. You know what I mean?
You bet.
So I did that, and I was in the ring every day, man. And every day just training. And I remember to a point where like, a guy like Blaze was like, okay, dude, I'm going to be in Calgary this week. I'll come train with you. You know, it's like, now I'm getting people to come train with me. And it's like, so by the time shows come back around, it's a whole different guy. I'm a whole different guy.
Good for you that you kept that up. Because there's, like you said, there's a lot of us that sat on the couch, got fat for a year and a half, right?
I mean, what else to do, man? It's like a whole year of like doing nothing. It's like the first couple of months I did sit at home and I'm like, this is shit. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what, man? I guess the shitty thing is you've lost what I consider at this stage, you know, a year and a half of development. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the upside, man, because you've kept training, you know, you've kind of stayed fit. You've back-ended your career probably another year and a half.
Yeah, for
right?
Sure.
So, you know, that time will come out later.
Exactly. It was a blessing in disguise in a lot of ways. But it's like at the time too, it's like, man, I of course, like I would go to these places. I'd go train. I'd film my training. Then I'll go send it to like, you know, I'll send it to Chucky, I'll send it to TJ, and I'll send it to these guys that I had, you know, access to. And I'm like, hey man, what else should I do in training? What more can I do? And it's like, and these guys were very helpful. And you know what I mean? They would hit me back. And it's like, at the time, I think TJ opened his school back there in Tampa. So he was training people too. So it was, he was at training, I'm at training, and he's telling me what to practice or what train. So I'm kind of like, developing, he's teaching me what he's teaching his people.
Yeah.
So it was
sure.
like, by the time I came back to, shows, I'm banging with these guys, and it's like, I can keep up with anybody around here pretty much. You know what I mean?
Good for you, man.
I supposed to like, 2 years ago, I couldn't keep up with anybody to save my life, but you know what I mean?
No, man, I think you could. Here's the thing. Here, to me, the difference between a worker and a good worker, right?
Yeah.
And this is, to me, people can say what they want about Brett.
Yeah.
The reason I
the
consider
greatest.
Brett to be, I think he's, him and Eddie, for me, it can be a toss up.
For sure.
But
For
Brett's
sure.
probably the best worker of all time. And I don't mean that to be insulting to anybody else.
For
What I
sure.
really mean is that Brett made any bum he got in the ring with look good.
Oh my
You know what I
God.
mean? Like they say, like Ric Flair could entertain with a broom handle. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
But Brett could make Yokozuna look unbelievable. Not to diminish Yokozuna, because he was an
Mur-
amazing.
he looked like he was a murderer.
Yeah, man. Brett made
No.
everybody, even Brett made the hobos look amazing.
Man, that's I always have, good thing you brought this up, because I always have like you just said, Brett and Eddie, but my guys are Brett and Orton. Those are my guys, because I
There you
think
go.
Orton is in that conversation, and that he could on any given day can be legit the greatest of all time. Any given
Right.
day when he's banging and he's hitting,
When he's
that
into
guy's
it, man.
untouchable. Yeah, when he's into it and he's in his groove.
Yeah.
Oh man, no one can touch that guy. But again, Brett made everything he did, man. A headlock, a arm lock, everything was legit. Like it was like
everything looked snug.
dude,
But then you
exactly.
never hear anybody saying he was throwing potatoes or anything.
Oh,
out there,
absolutely
you know what I
not.
mean?
But it's like also the smarter you get in the business, and like you're obviously smart. You've been in the business and you know what the hell you're talking about. But like for a guy like me or anybody coming up, the more you learn and you're like you start looking, you're like, oh man, this is the guy to watch. I'm a big fan of Shawn Michaels. I'm a big fan of Ric Flair. These are people in our industry that are, on one of the, in the top 10 and top 5. But it's like, I can watch Shawn and I'm entertained, and it's like, oh, Shawn is doing the, buckle gimmick where he's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shawn is taking these wild Mr. Perfect like bumps, and it's like, but when I watch Brett, I'm glued. It's like, what's next? It's like this guy, the fight.
Yeah, and I mean, again, Shawn, you could say Shawn was one of the more entertaining workers of all time,
For sure,
and there's
for
no
sure.
question, man. He's again
No debate.
probably top 5, right?
No
Like
debate.
to me,
No
it's
debate.
TJ and I used to always have this conversation. You know what we should do is have a round table, man. We
Oh,
got to do
dude,
this.
I'm done.
We need to have a round table of like me, you, TJ, Blaze, and because we've always said that we would narrow down a top 5, and then the argument would start.
Between that's good. That's really good. That's really
Right.
good.
That
That's
kind
really
of stuff always interests me. Like because it's
Yeah.
hard to say the greatest of all time because the business is so different.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Absolutely. It's just the guy, man. Brett is that guy, man.
The thing is, Brett's everything, because you can look at Japan and say who's the greatest wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
And then you got to start looking at guys like Tiger Mask who wrestled a different style.
There
But then
go.
you say who's the best worker, like who could do anything.
With anybody.
Pretty much Brett and Eddie, man.
There you go. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. I'm a big Brett guy for sure.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, man, just wrestling psychology wise, learning how wrestling works. There's nobody that I've ever watched that benefited more than a Bret Hart match. Like watching Bret Hart matches, you're like, oh, dude, that's why he did that. Okay, gotcha. As opposed to like other guys where it's like, okay, he just did that to do it for the night and pop people. But it's like, oh, this guy is wrestling for everybody, people in the stadium, people at home, anybody. So it's like, oh, that's why this guy did that.
Yeah,
it makes
that's
sense.
what it's about, man. Right? Like,
Yeah.
actually, I wish the camera was high def so you could see the goosebumps I have right now, thinking about I was watching Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect
Oh my God.
a couple days ago, and it's just like the psychology was perfect.
Oh,
And I watched Shawn Michaels and geez, now I can't remember. And again, say what you want about Shawn. The psychology was perfect.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Shawn, that's why Shawn and Brett, that was a jail that was untouchable, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they had their differences, we know that, but it's like when they were in the ring, man,
Magic.
nobody can keep up with those guys. Absolutely nobody.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Like
if you're on the
that
card with
Iron
Shawn
Man
and Brett, oh my goodness, man.
like I remember when I heard The Rock and Hunter were going to have an Iron Man match, and no knock on either of those guys because they're
They're great in their own rights. Yeah.
again, top 10 guys, top 15 guys. But when I heard they were gonna have an iron match, my first thought was like, how do you follow up Michaels and Brett?
Brett.
Like,
Yeah. Well, how do you
I would not.
how do you follow that up in general in wrestling history for the rest of our lives?
Yeah.
Who can really follow an hour match where like, dude, it wasn't like, even if you like, I watched that match at least like once a month, if that's maybe twice a month, and it's like, dude, they never get tired.
Yeah.
They never, the pace is like just going and going and going and going, and it's like you never see these guys dragging, you never see these guys huffing and buffing.
There's no rest holds, man.
Nothing, man. These guys are working and banging. It's like, holy shit. And you watch any other Iron Man, you can see guys, okay, well, sit here, brother, for a while. It's like, no, these guys were on a different, level.
Now what I find in Iron Man matches, there's a lot of big bumps and long cells.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, it's funny, man. It's when I actually I get to, I'm fortunate enough that like I'm really good friends with Brett. And I get to like, especially like I've got to watch some matches with him and stuff like that. And I've always asked him about that Iron Man match. Right. And it's like to hear his psychology on how he comes up with Iron Man match, or how that match in particular with him and Sean. It's like who thinks about that stuff? Like that, like how come people never thought about that? But it's just like, okay, this guy's a different, on a different level.
Like, and that's the thing is we all think we're great. And I always say like everybody thinks they're a champion.
Yeah.
Everybody, and you should, right? You should see yourself as a champion. You should want to be the champion. You should want to lead the company. But then you look at those guys and think, am I that, as much as I think of myself?
Yeah, I can't keep up with these guys for sure.
No, man. That's and the thing is, I say that about myself. I don't want you to ever think that about yourself, right? Because those guys were, when they did that Iron Man match, what were they, 20 years in the business?
Oh yeah, they were deep. Right? They were deep. Brett was probably early 40s, so he's already done goddamn 30 years almost.
Whatever, yeah, exactly. So
in his case,
I don't have to say don't aspire, man, because it's And the other thing is, one thing I try to tell young guys, it's hard when you're not getting a ton of matches, but when I broke in, like I think I had 5 matches my first year. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then I had 10 shots in 11 nights, and that's how we kind of started. That's literally how our shit started.
For sure, man.
They work so much, so it's a different thing. But I realized early on that about 10 years as an indie worker, it's going to be about 10 years before you get to the top of the food chain.
Wow.
And I don't think that's unrealistic. So
I agree. I think
encouraging, but I would just look at kind of the landscape, and one guys would make it was like 10 years. And I remember when I was 10 years in the business, WWF had bought WCW. They had fired 150 guys. Japan wasn't bringing anybody over. It was like, okay, I'm going to take some time off. I'll come back to this.
Yeah, for sure. It was a crazy time at that particular time you speak of. But man, I agree with you on that 10 years, man, because it's you're pretty much figuring out, one thing a year if you're lucky. You're figuring out, so okay, 2 years, 3 years, you're like, okay, now I'm kind of getting comfortable. 4 or 5 years, it's like, okay, now I'm having a little bit better.
Well, at 5, now you're building a following, right? Which is where you are now, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
I was creeping your Instagram. You got like 8,000 followers, right? Which is pretty good.
Yeah. It helps. I mean, a lot of Bret Hart fans.
Well, and that's whatever it takes, man, because that's what the office looks at.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. People don't realize that wrestling's part of it, and wrestling's important. But what else do you bring to the table? Because everybody can wrestle, man. Lots of people can wrestle.
For sure. Yeah, there's a lot of talented people out there. It's just it's a social media era. It's a social media world. If every people, companies down the street, pizza places got Instagram and stuff like that. So it's like everyone's trying to make money off social media, and I agree with you on that. But it's I've been 4 years. I've been in the business for 4 years. Granted, a whole year's been taken, so that 4th year is kind of right?
A little sketchy. So
it's like ideally 3 years, you know what I mean? But it's I've been very, very fortunate. I've been very lucky to have like a guy like TJ like that I can call, text, message, send my matches.
People can say whatever they want, and when I use this phrase, but I'm the biggest TJ Wilson dick rider. Like seriously, I can't say enough good things about TJ.
Man, me, dude, it's funny, man. It's like me and him have like a big brother, little brother relationship where it's like, we argue, we yell at each other, we swear at each other, but it's like at the end of the day, I have all that. We'll text each other, hey, love you, man. Good job. And it's like he's the man, and he's enough people don't know about this guy in terms of how like he's a human, man. This guy is the best of humans, man.
He's a special guy, man. And so is Natty.
He,
They're fantastic people,
of
right?
course,
They're just
dude,
so
it
good.
makes sense why they're together, man.
Yeah.
It makes sense why they're together this long, man. TJ would take his fucking shirt off his back to give it to anybody, man. Dude, that guy, I can't express, my love for that guy is amazing. But like to have a guy like that in my corner, especially doing this, it's amazing, man. It's like I can any time of the day, I'm like, hey man, what's like I send him my match every week, and it's like I get like a paragraph of like, okay, you did this good, this needs work. Maybe if you did it like this, and it's like now I have a professionals.
Yeah.
This
when
guy,
a guy's been there, it's easier to it's better. It's a period.
Been there,
better.
done that, and it's probably one of the best wrestlers of his time. And it's like, dude, it's TJ's one of those guys, man, that A, never got the run he deserved, but B, only true workers know how good he was. Oh man, he knows. They know the people. Anybody who got in the ring,
people that know.
Yeah, anybody who got in the ring with him, it's like, okay, yeah, I know. Okay, TJ Wilson got he's the real deal, man.
I remember when I realized TJ was better than everybody. That we were like, I remember even saying at Dungeon one time, a bunch of guys had secured tryouts, and I actually, to be quite honest, turned it down because I knew nobody was getting signed. So a bunch of guys were talking shit. Oh, I'm gonna do this when I get signed. I'm gonna do that when I get signed. And I looked at
buy a house,
Oh yeah, I don't know if I should buy a house in Springbank or Mount Royal, And I looked at the whole dungeon and said, if any of us make it out of here, it's going to be that kid right there. And I pointed at TJ.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Well,
man.
I was talking to him one day at the gym. I was walking through BJ's and I'm walking at a normal pace. Like I'm not slow walking. He's walking backwards, punching me in the chin. Jesus. And they're grazing. At the time I had a full goatee. I can feel them touching my whiskers. And he's just like, hey, Jordy, how's it going? Oh, yeah, full on punches. Hey, Jordy, how's it going? How's your day, man? You glad to be at the gym? Gonna have a good work. Just like, geez,
you're like,
what the hell?
What the fuck? This guy hasn't taken my chin off?
Yeah, that's what I realized. Like, okay, I'm dog shit.
No, man, I'm a big fan of TJ's, and I met him also as another guy that I met when I was super young and developed a friendship with, and he's been there for me when I needed him and stuff. It's like, so I've been very fortunate to have a guy like that to give my stuff and show my stuff and get knowledge from. And I'm, like I said, very lucky to have like Brett in my corner as well, where I can go to his house and say, hey, this is my match. What do you think? And he can break it down. And obviously a guy like that to break my stuff down and give me feedback and say, okay, you're better off doing this. It's who can write that book better.
And those guys know exactly what the office is looking for. And I think that's the most important thing for you guys now, right? Get that following and know what the office is looking for. Quite frankly, I can say this, I'm not trying to get a job there. But that PC isn't doing fuck all for them. For the money they got into that thing, where all the big stars are coming off the indies, they're all going to be guys like you. Right. In the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to be one of those guys that they bring down to NXT. And by, early 30s, man, you're going to be just fine.
I hope so, man. And like I said, great people that I can ask advice for. And it's like, that's one thing I find that like a lot of guys lack. They don't have that support system.
Yeah, for sure.
Man. They don't have that. They don't have, because a lot of people, it's a part of the game where we'll have a shitty match here. We'll have a good match here. It's a back and forth until you figure this shit out. It's a back and forth. It's like, so those moments where you're frustrated, you're like, how am I having these bad matches? Or you need somebody to say, oh, this is why, this is how you did it. This is why. So I have these guys that
try this, try that for sure, man.
Yeah. So it's like, it makes things a lot easier on me and get better quicker when these guys are breaking it down and saying, that's your problem, as opposed to me trying to figure it out for 3 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and the other side of that too, what I think is really important is you're somebody that I believe in my heart would share that information with the other boys. If you've seen somebody else doing those things you were doing, you're like, hey man, you know what? This person told me this.
Dude, absolutely. It'd be, oh man, I would kill myself if I wasn't that guy.
And you know what, man? That's what's different from, I think it changed right around kind of when I broke in.
Yeah.
The era where guys were willing to help each other out. Do you know what I mean? Like we were competitive. We were probably a little more competitive, but I think you guys are more willing to help each other out than guys were back in the day, right? And I think that's the best part. That to me is the best change in the business.
That's how wrestling was before a lot of back in the day. It was just, hey man,
Yeah.
It's me or you. It's my family's table or your family's table.
Yeah,
You know
which
what I
one
mean?
of us is hungry, right?
Exactly. I'm not gonna take my daughter's food and give it to your daughter, man. So I ain't gonna tell you. If
Yeah.
I can lead you to drop off the bridge, I'll do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
like,
and I think guys like that, quite frankly, and I'm going to use Hulk Hogan's name as an example. I mean, he was so
man,
successful, anyways, but
Yeah.
they don't like, for me, it's all about if you can do business, right? I mean, I don't want to come across somebody that sold a million tickets, right? Because we both know that's bullshit. But at the same time, it's like whenever I wanted to work a program with somebody, it was like, who do I think I could at least get a reaction from the fans with?
For sure.
It wasn't about, oh, who do I just want to wrestle? It was like, who do I think I could, who could I tear down?
How can we better ourselves and the promotion? For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. When you think that way, a lot of things open up, you know what I mean? And luckily, like you said, today is like that, man. We're all thinking of each other. We're all thinking of the promotion, and we're all thinking of how we can add another 10 people to the crowd. You know what I mean? That's what we're thinking of instead of just thinking of ourselves. And in the long run, it'll help us all. You know what I mean? If we can all, to be honest with you, obviously I'm a big wrestling fan still, and it's like I know all the what's it called, provinces and what they got in terms of talent. And it's really, really hard to compete with Alberta. It's really, really hard.
You know what, man? I have no problem saying that since I broke in, right?
Yeah.
I think I had my first match. Man, I'm going to say something like summer 97 was my first match.
Yeah.
And by the time I realized what was going on in say 2000, I realized, there's no independent anywhere that could touch what was going on in Calgary at that time. And I truly think it's the same. Like,
dude,
lots of territories have a good guy.
Yeah, good, maybe 2, 3. Yeah.
But the depth of the roster here is sick.
Dude, you can have 4 or 5 matches on the card that are bangers. You know what I mean? That's like, okay, which one was the match of the night? You know what I mean?
Yeah, go ahead and figure it out.
Yeah, go. And fans are like confused as to, oh, well, I like this guy, but this guy, it's like, that's a good thing for us. And it's stacked. Yeah, I suppose like I'll use like Saskatchewan as an example. Look at this guy.
Who we got?
Hey, Duke, what's up, my brother?
How are you, buddy?
What's going on, man?
Good.
Sorry to interrupt. Yo, I just came to say hi because he told me he was talking to you, and I'm saying bye, man. I gotta run.
Yeah.
I gotta run. Right,
good seeing you, buddy. Take care.
Good seeing you too.
We'll talk again soon, brother.
Shirts and I want one of these Hitman shirts. So you guys got kayfabing me on everything.
Got the swag, baby.
Get the Karachi Vice. Well, we can hook the other.
You know what? I honestly was gonna wear my Karachi Vice shirt tonight, but this shirt, the material's softer. So when you get the new batch of Karachi Vice shirts, brother, can you make them softer?
100% for you, my brother. Yo, good seeing you. Sorry to interrupt.
Don't apologize, man. It was good to see you.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? That was a perfect. I'm just gonna. One thing I really want to talk about is this. I want to kind of wrap up with this show on the 29th, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Dungeon Boys putting that on. Brett's Boys, Dallas and Blade, right?
Man, those are obviously the Brett's family. Like, I'm good friends with Pete, Brooke, TJ, Nat, all those.
Of course, man.
But the closest my crew of people are like Brett's family. You know what I mean? I'm really good friends. One of my best friends is Blade. Okay. That whole family have become my family in the last couple of years. You know what I mean?
Right.
So obviously they none of them wrestle, right? So I'm like the son in that family that wrestles. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's, if anything Brett can do, anything they can do to help me, they do. So it's like a lot of the time they're coming up with ideas to do shows to help me to kind of put shows on for us to get rap and whatever. They come to a lot of my shows. But like, I had this idea because I remember we had I think 2019 they CJ92 did this, Jesse and them, and Jesse's another good friend of ours that comes around the family.
Jesse's a beauty, man.
Oh, Jesse's a good guy. So
that's how I found out about the show. I just got an email that said, "See you there."
It's fun. It's gonna be fun. But so like they did like a charity thing. They do like the CJ92 funds, kids fund.
Yeah, you
where
bet.
They like all the tickets go to the kids and stuff like that. So I remember being there and at the time I had I hurt my ankle really bad. So it was like I couldn't wrestle. So it's like I really was like, hey man, what if we do it again? What if we did something like that? And now we've had this idea. It was supposed to happen in September type of thing, but it was like I kept pushing. I'm like, hey, we got to do this. We got to do this. And it's like it's a night off for the boys to kind of come out and enjoy and wrestle and and people come out. So we came up with this idea where it was me, Blade, Julie, and Dell came up with this idea where it was like, hey, why don't we make it a Halloween party? where
Right.
everybody can go get dressed up, come out and kind of like, go do the, Halloween spirits and enjoy the Halloween. But at the same time, we can have wrestling going on. Boom, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you
And
bet.
have like a live band come out. So, and sell 150 tickets was our goal. I think we just reached about 100 and something tickets. So we're
Okay.
gonna sell out in no time. But we're like, hey, what? And then proceeds can go to the kids fund. So we're gonna have fun. But the
Nice.
kids can kind of, get the reward
Yeah,
type of thing.
It's a
But
win-win-win for everybody. The people that
Win-win-win
bought a
for
ticket
everything.
win, the boys that get
Yes,
some work and hang out win, the
exactly,
kids fund wins.
exactly. So I'll be there. I'll be wrestling on that. And it's like we have for I know any of the people that are watching this, we're gonna have Terry from Foo Bar. He's gonna be there, kind of be the MC. Oh, there you go. Good guy. Terry's awesome too. We're gonna have him. We're gonna have Jesse and JD there. Well, you're there too. Maybe you can do something while you're there.
You know what,
It's
man?
fun,
Here's the thing. I'm gonna be dead honest with you now. And if I get emotional, I apologize. I haven't been to a
Yeah.
show since I retired.
Wow. Well, I mean, Jen, I've
Yeah,
been
man.
to every show since, so I haven't seen you. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
No, I agree.
I haven't been to. It's been. I'll be quite honest with you. You can tell I'm even stammering. Like I'm nervous to go. I miss it so
It'll be
much,
fun.
man.
It'll
I
be
miss
fun,
it so
man. It'll
much,
be
so I don't want to
fun.
go and kind of get the fever.
No, it'll be fun, man. That's the environment will distract you a little. The
Yeah,
environment
whatever.
will just be-
Here's the thing, though. If you think you could use me for anything, man,
Oh,
by
man,
all
for
means,
sure.
I'm there.
No, if you're gonna be there, I'll definitely figure out something for you to, come even say hi to the fans that haven't seen you in a while. You know what I mean? So it's
Sure,
kind of
man. Yeah,
like it'll be
honestly,
fun. But
yeah,
we're gonna
anything and nothing is cool.
there you go. So I know have Terry there, and hopefully I've been bugging Brett. I've been texting him, and I was there for Thanksgiving this past
Hey,
weekend,
man,
kind of poking.
just tell Brett Duke
poking
Durango
at-
will be there, man. He'll clear his schedule, guaranteed.
There you go.
Actually, you know
There
what?
you go. I've been-
This is my funny story about Brett. So I'd had
Yeah.
dinner with Brett up at Stu's a couple times,
Yeah,
right? So I don't want to make it sound like I know Brett, but I've definitely sat at a table and eat dinner with Brett.
for sure.
Seen him around the house a little bit. So we do that X Fest show, and
Yeah.
I booked the weekend. And here's the thing, man. I'm kind of a dick, and I freely admit this.
Yeah.
I'm almost
I know.
yeah, but I'm almost anti-celebrity. Like when I see a group of people start freaking out over somebody,
Yeah.
I just fade back.
Yeah,
I'm
for
like,
sure.
yeah, you guys look like assholes. I'm just gonna hang back.
I'm cool.
So
Yeah,
at
yeah.
that show, Brett comes in the locker room and everybody starts getting fairly excited to meet
Yeah.
Brett. And that's cool. I mean, he's Brett.
Why not? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I'm getting dressed, right? So I'm kind of off in the corner and Harry's going around and introducing him.
Yeah.
And so by the time Brett's getting around to me, I at least got my trunks on. And I turn around and I reach out to shake his hand and he kind of stops and looks up at me. He goes, "Hey, I recognize you."
Yeah.
And that's, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Like at least Brett knows who I am.
That's man. Me and TJ are like very obviously we know him very well, but it's like we're big advocates for his memory. He
Right.
has a killer memory.
Is
this
that
guy,
right?
man.
Hey,
Holy shit, man. He can tell you stories and he can tell you conversation he had with Jim, 81, whatever it is, in a house, in a warehouse, in a car ride. It's like, how the fuck do you remember that, man? I can't, I'm 26 years old. I can't remember what I did at work on Monday. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And,
But it's like
and
this
then you
guy,
factor in all the factor in the head trauma, right? And
Dude,
I'm not talking about even
severe
the big
concussion.
concussion and the stroke. I'm talking even just years of wear and tear. That's
Jesus,
incredible.
man. Dude, if this guy can, and I'm like, we're very like me and TJ are big fans of Brad's stories, man. And anytime dinners when I'm there, it's like I'm always poking at him. I'm like, all right, go story
What do
time,
you
man.
got?
Go ahead.
Because
It's like,
how
dude,
many
it's-
stories must he have in there, right? Because you don't
Oh
get
my god.
like I think of how long I was around, where I bid, where I went,
Yeah,
and what
yeah.
I did, and it was nothing. And I have some
compared to this guy.
amazing stories. What does that guy have?
Jeez, dude, I like funny enough. Like I kind of bring it when I'm around him. I kind of bring like obviously I'm not, but it's like I kind of give him that locker room vibe, like the boys. So I'm kind of
Right.
like I poke at him. I'll be like, you type of thing.
Yeah,
But it's
rib
like,
him
dude,
a little.
Yeah, so it's like, dude, it's like I remember saying one time, I'm like, dude, how come you haven't done another book? How come? That's like you're robbing us. You're really robbing us
Yeah.
of these great stories.
Your fans deserve more.
Yeah, dude, it's like you have like that. Obviously, I've read that first book. It's like, dude, some of the stories you're saying here, it's you can write 2-3 other books. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
for sure, man.
And Brett was like, dude, Brett was very smart in his career that when he was on the road, he used to record his days. So whatever he did all day, when he gets to the hotel that night, it's like, I did this today. I ran into
that
this guy,
right,
I
hey?
did this. So it helps his memories a lot even better when he has these little cassettes of 1992, 81 in Cleveland, you know what it is. So it's like that just tells you how smart and how genius he is for him to think of that.
Well,
You know
and
what I
a
mean?
piece of it, only advice I'll really give you is this.
Yeah.
Document your shit.
For sure.
Right. Like I didn't, man. And I think I thought I would feel like a mark if I was kind of writing everything down and, keeping all my magazine articles and stuff.
Yeah.
But man, I look back and think, Jesus, there's Dwayne Soper. I don't know if you know who that guy is.
No.
Dwayne Soper knows more about my career than I do.
Wow. He just documented it.
Yeah. He knows so much. He can tell me who I was wrestling, what I was doing. I'm like, man, I don't remember shit.
Wow.
But yeah, that's the advice I give you young guys. Document it, man. Because you do some cool stuff whether you realize it or not.
Yeah, I don't blame you too, because a lot of the time you're in the moment. You know what I mean? You're enjoying, you're having fun with the boys. It's just before you know it, you're in the car back home. So it's like time flies when you're trying to get your shit together, and so I understand, but it's like, dude, same with like magazines. Like Brett has his the lower part of the house. He has this big game room. It's a big game room with a pool table and stuff like that. Right. But it's a whole, it's pretty much a museum of him, of everything he collected. Right. It's like, to me, I'm like, oh man, this guy, because obviously if you look at every athlete ever, Michael Jordan has every goddamn title he won, every award he had. Yeah. It's a big thing.
Man, you see these fucking golf, like Tiger Woods got a trophy room, right?
So that's what it is. That's what that room is. It's a trophy room, but it's like his Hall of Fame and like he has posters from Stampede, the Stampede tag titles. I was actually helping him drop. I know he lost something to the Stampede tag titles the other day on Thanksgiving. No. So I was looking for him. I think we did find it, but it was like, dude, it's everything, like all the Stampede stuff, all the WWE stuff. It's like, dude, it's kind of cool to go down as a Bret Hart fan, and it's like, wow, this is kind of cool. And he teaches me the lesson of, okay, if I ever do get lucky enough to do this, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, man, do it, because like I have the first poster of the first show I was on.
Yeah,
I have the poster of the first show I ever main evented. Do you know what I mean? I don't have all of it. I just have the odd, like the first time I might have done something.
For sure. Man, I've been the last couple of years, I've been actually like Denise always, makes those big posters, stuff like that. So I'll take that, and like
I've got a 6-foot Denise poster.
Yeah. I got a few. I got like about 5 of them. So like I've collected those.
God
personally.
bless that
like, okay,
woman,
I'm gonna keep those. And I've we did that dome show recently, about a year or 2 years ago. We did that Saddle, so they had a nice little poster for us. I took that. I took a few of those actually.
Nice.
But like since then, I've been kind of like, okay, I'll collect things now, and stuff. But it's cool, man. It's cool to do that.
All right, brother. On that note, man, let's shout out your social media. Where can people follow you? Who are you working on 29th? Do you know yet?
Oh no, I gotta. That's all on me. I'm Duke Durango. I'm booking.
Are you booking? You're booking that.
So I gotta, I gotta figure things, and it's obviously, it's like you gotta think a lot. You gotta think of a lot of the boys. And it's like who to put, and then who's asking. So it's kind of like,
and then who's gonna be pissed off because you didn't call them.
Exactly. I've never been in that situation. Obviously, never booked, so I've never really seen that side of it. But it's like, holy shit, that's a whole different world.
All of a sudden, you're in the politics side, brother.
You know what I mean? It's like, do I upset somebody if I don't? Obviously, I'm not trying to upset you, but it's like, it's like, so it's like, I'm at that situation.
I'm going to give you the booking advice. I can't give you a ton of advice on career and how to make the WWE notice you, but what I can give you is booking advice. And what I'll say is you're doing kind of a one-off show. So you have to put your feeling, and the guys you have to understand, boys and girls, you have to understand Mo's position right now. Sure. Mo has one shot to make an impression. He has to use the best talent he has on hand for this show. Period.
For sure.
Right? It's not. This isn't show friends, right? This show business now.
Exactly.
Booking this shit, it's on you.
There you go. And it's like, hey, if it goes right, we have plenty of other shows that we can book again and potentially get as much people we can.
Exactly. I mean? This show you got to run a tight ship, man.
Yeah, this is just to kind of give me a tryout and give just the whole situation a tryout, give the Dungeon Boys a tryout. So it's kind of like, see how it goes, and hopefully it does all go well. You'll be there to witness it.
And you know what, man, if you have any questions, any answers, anything you need, man, just
for sure.
I'll help you. If you even, you've got TJ in Hip Pocket who's forgot more about wrestling than if I just studied now, I wouldn't remember everything he knows.
Yeah.
But you know what, man, I'm always here if you need anything.
Absolutely, man. I'm not shy. I'm not shy to ask. That's a big thing. Everybody back out there, you should know. Don't be shy to ask anything to anybody.
All
That's how
right.
you
So
learn.
people, if you don't have your tickets yet, October 29th at Tool Shed Brewing, there is the what's the name of the show exactly? Sorry.
It's called Jesse and JD Halloween or Hallow. What was it?
Hallow
I think it's
Wrestle?
Halloween.
Wrestle.
Wrestle. There you go.
Wrestle
Yeah. There you go.
I don't know.
WrestleWeen. There you go. WrestleWeen.
Yeah. I
Jesse
feel
and
bad.
JD.
I'm on their show 3 times a week, and now I don't even remember the name of their shit.
Oh man, those guys are crazy. But yeah, WrestleWeen, Jesse and JD, WrestleWeen, October 29th, the Friday. Tool Shed.
Well, and the thing is, the ticket, $50 is the ticket price.
Yeah.
You get a wrestling show, you probably get a live band, you get some barbecue, and you get a couple beers.
There you go.
That's a solid ticket price.
For the solid ticket price for that night, and dress up. We encourage Halloween costumes. Hey, dress up as wrestlers, whatever.
Oh, there's 4 of us coming as a group costume. You'll see us, man.
Perfect. And then hopefully, if you guys got the best costume, there's a reward for you guys.
I don't think we will because we're jackasses, but we'll have fun. All right, what's your social media, brother? Let's lay all that down.
You can find me on Twitter at Kid Chocolate MJ. You can find me on Instagram at Kid Chocolate, and those are and same as Facebook at Kid Chocolate. You'll find me I'm very active on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You'll find me there. Any questions you guys have, any pictures you have of me, anything you want, just that's where you send it to. And you let me know.
And
yes, sir.
follow my friend. If you've not watched
Yes,
this guy, he's so entertaining. He's such a good human being. Somebody that I wish nothing but the utmost of success, man. Nothing but respect for you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Likewise, man. Likewise. Thank you for having me, bro.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Sir.
Duke, you suck.
You shut your mouth.